Good day, boys. Good day, boys and girls. Here is a discussion or an explanation for the revision for term 3 of 2021. The first question, state whether each of these algebraic expressions, whether it is a monomial, binomial, or trinomial. Monomial is one term, binomial is two. For example, bicycle has two wheels, so we can bi meaning two terms, and trinomial, three terms. So think about tricycle with three wheels. So we have trinomial with three terms. Now this first expression here is a monomial, there is one term. A term is separated either by a plus or minus. So we look at 1.2, we have the first term, then a minus sign, and a second term. So that is a binomial, two terms. Here, we also have two terms. Although we have a plus here within brackets and another plus sign here, this brackets makes this one term. So your brackets makes the first part a single term. So whenever you see brackets, you call this, it's enclosed, this expression is enclosed in brackets. So that's one term plus, and there's your second term. So that's a binomial. Here we have a trinomial, the first term plus a second term minus a third term. So that is a trinomial. So your terms are separated either by plus or minus. And when you have brackets, they combine the terms into one. Now question 2, given 2x squared minus x cubed plus 9x squared minus 1 is an algebraic expression. 2.1, write the expression in descending powers of x. So we look at the exponents here. We look at x has an exponent of 1. This has x cubed, the exponent is 3. Exponents here being 2 in x squared. And here we have no x, so we look at the exponent 0. So this is actually x to the 0. Minus 1, x to the 0. So if you're writing in descending powers of x, descending means from highest down to lowest, descend down to lowest. So your highest power will be negative or minus x cubed. So 3 is the highest exponent, followed by plus 9x squared, then plus 2x1 and minus 1. So we have the 3, 2, 1, 0 to show you the exponents are decreasing in value. The degree of the expression is a third degree, because the degree of an expression is the highest exponent. In this case, it is 3. So we're looking at third degree. State the coefficient of x. So we're looking at x. Coefficient is the number in front of your variable x, and this is 2. So your coefficient of x is 2. The next question, the coefficient of x cubed is, there's a 1 here, is negative 1. The negative sign or the minus sign is included in the term x cubed, minus x cubed. So there's a 1 in front, so it's minus 1. The constant term is the term that does not have a variable, which is in this case the last term. So negative 1 or minus 1 is your constant term. The next part is to evaluate the expression. So we have the expression here. We got to evaluate, that is, find the value of the expression if x is given the value of minus 2. So wherever we have x, we replace it with minus 2 or negative 2. You replace all the x with negative 2. We substitute, in place of x, we substitute the value minus 2 and we use brackets. That is needed because you are raising the x value to a power to the exponent 3, then to the exponent 2. So we have it in brackets. So we can cube this and we can square this. So working with your answer, 2 times negative 2, 2 times 2 is 4, that's negative 4. Now here, before we apply or multiply the negative sign to what's in brackets, we need to first work out minus 2 cubed. And minus 2 cubed is minus 2 times minus 2 times minus 2. That gives you a value of minus 8 or negative 8. And minus 2 squared or negative 2 squared is 4. Next, we multiply the signs into the brackets for this term as well as this term. So we bring down a -4 or -4, and negative times a negative is a positive. So that's a +8. 9 times 4 is 36. Now you could add this entire thing or the entire values up, or you can look at all the negative. There's -4 and -1, which gives you total of -5. And this +8 and +36 gives you a total of +44. So the difference between -5 and 44 is 39. Sorry, there's an error with the answer here. Your answer here should be +39. So please note that the answer to this one is a +31. Sorry, wrong. Let's say +31. There are more positive values there, 44. So this is a +31. The next one, we're looking at question 3. In question 3, we need to simplify these algebraic expressions. Now, the first expression, we're going to add and subtract like terms. So we're looking at 5x. There's another x here. You can see it's underlined, plain underlining. This is 5x plus 3x gives you 8x. Then we're looking at the other like terms, which is your y's. So there's a -12y plus 2y. That gives you a -10y. It's -12 plus 2, which is -10. And this belongs to y. Now 3.2 involves multiplication. We have brackets here. We're going to multiply the -3 into the bracket to each term. So multiplying -3 times 7, negative times positive is negative, and 3 times 7 is 21. That is 21x. The negative times negative for your second term is positive, and 3 times 12 is 36. That is 36y. 3.3, we're looking at the like terms again. We have 5p squared r. So we're going to look for another p squared r, and there's a p squared r here. So I've underlined the like terms. Now there's p squared here in both these terms. So I put in a little line, or I should say squiggly line between these two terms here. So these two are the like terms, and this first and this last one are the other set of like terms. So looking at the coefficient in front, this is 5 plus 2 gives you 7p squared r. And this is -15 plus 5. So we're looking at -15. So you've got to work out -15 plus 5. That gives you an answer of -10. So you write down -10 and your variable p squared. Okay, so we'll erase this. Now, next question, 3.4, we're looking at a squared plus 7a minus 6 minus 18a plus 3a squared plus 17. The like terms here, boys and girls, are a squared and 3a squared. So there's a 1 here. 1 plus 3 gives me 4a squared. The next set of like terms are the a's, the 7a, and then we have 18a. Well, this is positive 7a and negative 18a. So your positive 7 and negative 18 will give you a total of negative 11. So that's negative 11a. Then we have, I've got dots under the last set of like terms. These are just constant values. So -6 plus 17, or if you want to say 17 minus 6, that's 11. Right? That will give you those values. For your constant, we have 11. Now we're looking at 3.5. The question says subtract 2x squared minus 7x plus 3 from 7x squared plus 5x minus 4. Now to make it, or to look at this from an easier point of view, it is like saying subtract 2 from 7. So if you're looking at 2, subtract 2 from 7, it means it's 7 minus 2. So using the same idea, you're going to subtract this entire expression from this expression. So we take the second expression here, done with 7, and you're going to subtract, subtract the 2. So the expression with 2. Now, because you're subtracting the entire expression, we need to put in brackets because we're subtracting each of these terms. So this is 7x squared plus 5x minus 4. And multiply, bracket also means multiplication. So you're going to multiply that each term with a negative sign. So negative times positive is negative 2x squared. So you're subtracting 2x squared. And negative times negative is positive 7x. You're subtracting negative 7x, which gives you a positive. Multiplying negative times negative to give you positive. Then negative times positive is negative. So we multiply the negative sign to each of the terms in the brackets. Now, once again, like the examples above, we look for what terms are like terms. Your like terms, there's it underlined here. It's 7x squared minus 2x squared. Both have x squared. We do not change the exponents. We're simply looking at the numbers in front, your coefficients, because we are subtracting like and unlike terms. So 7 minus 2 is 5. Then here's my little squiggly, incorrect to say line, but your squiggly mark here. And here, these are the like terms. So plus 5x plus 7x. 5 plus 7 is 12x. Then we have negative 4, negative 3, which is negative 7. Negative 4, negative 3 is negative 7. Boys and girls, it is good to do it mentally, but you can check with the calculator to see if you are correct. Now that we've completed adding and subtracting like terms, 3.69 involves multiplication. When you are multiplying algebraic expressions, then you need to remember the rules or the law when you're multiplying exponents, because this is a cubed and a1. When you multiply exponents, you add, sorry, when you're multiplying powers, you add the exponents of like terms, of like bases. When you're multiplying, you add the exponents of like bases. So remember, now we're going to work with the exponents as well. We're going to add the exponents of like bases. When we divide, we subtract the exponents of like bases. So we're working with the first one. We multiply this algebraic expression into each one into the bracket. Multiplying 2a cubed b1 to 3a, and then we're multiplying it again to the second expression here, 2a cubed b squared. So multiplying to the first expression, 2 times 3 is 6. We're multiplying the like bases. There's a, both are like. You add the exponents, 3 plus 1. And the b, there's no other b's, so we still just have the b. And multiplying to the second term, 2 times 2 is 4. a3 times a3, you add the exponents of the like bases, that gives you a6. And b1 and b2 is b1 plus 2. Remember, boys and girls, sometimes you will not have a 1 here. You may just have b and 3a. So you need to mark it with the 1, so you don't forget to add 1 plus 2 to give you 3. So your final answer is 6a4, because we added here, b plus 4a6, we added the 3 and 3, and b3, we added the 1 and 2. So when you're multiplying, you add the exponents of this, like bases. Now, when you're dividing, we're going to subtract. The numbers are your normal division. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. And a positive divided by a negative is negative. Same law as multiplication. Positive and a negative is negative. Now we subtract. We have 2 minus 2. There are no b's here at the bottom and there's no y's at the bottom. So these two will remain the same. Now we're looking at a. A is 2 minus 2, which is a to the 0. And a to the 0 is actually 1. And 1 times 5 is 5. And we still have b6 and y3. So remember, because you're subtracting the exponents here, the answer is 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. A to the 0 is 1. Or you can look at it as a2. The other way is this way. a2 will cancel with a2. They divide into each other. So therefore, you're only left with b6 and y3. So you can omit this line here. You have the option. From here, immediately 5 goes into 25 5 times. Left with b6 and y3. Remember, when you're dividing, you subtract exponents. When you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So if you look at 3.8, we are dividing. We've got 2 terms at the top and 1 at the bottom. So if we're going to divide, we're dividing each of the top terms by 2x. There's each of the top terms are divided by 2x. Now we'll apply the rules for division. When you're dividing, you subtract the exponents. So looking at the numbers first, 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 4 2 times. But this will be 4 minus 1. There's x here. X is raised to power 1. 4 minus 1, which is 3. 2 goes into 6 3 times. And then this is x5 and x1. So 5 minus 1 is 4. So we subtracted. When dividing, we subtract the exponents. Now 3.9. This is another law of exponents. If you're raising a power to another power, you multiply. Note the multiplication. You multiply exponents. So when you are multiplying or dividing, multiplying, you add, dividing, here's it, you subtract. Now when you're raising a power to another power, you're raising this to another power. There's it here, we have b squared, and then we've got it raised again. So we're looking at 2 powers. So if you're cubing this answer here, you cube each one. This is minus 2 cubed. And if you're cubing a to the 3, you're multiplying. 3 times 3 is 9. There's a 9 here. And then 2 times 3, there's it. 2 times 3 is 6. So we cubed minus 2, which is negative 8 or minus 8. Cubing 3, a3 will gives you 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. Cubing b squared will give you 6. So only when you see a power raised to another, to an exponent, then you need to know you got to multiply. You have to multiply. Now, as we're multiplying here, we also have the next option where we have to find the square root or the cube root. Right. If you find the square root or the cube root, you now have to divide your powers or your exponents. Now the square root of 16 is 4, and this will be 6 divided by the 2, and that is 4 divided by the 2. So you're dividing in this case. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So you divide 6 by the 2 to give you 3. You divide 4 by the 2 to give you 2. You find the square root, we're dividing. You find the cube root, we're also dividing, but now we're dividing by 3. Remember when we're cubing, here we are multiplying. Now we're finding the cube root, so we're dividing. But the cube root of 125 is 5. At the cube root of 125, because 5 cubed gives you 125. So the cube root of 125 is 5. Then you divide 6 by 3, which is 2. You divide the 9 by 3, which is 3. So for square root and cube root, we divide. And that's working with algebraic expressions. Now we're working with algebraic equations. Now for algebraic equations, if we look at the first equation, x plus 10 is equal to 12. Now to solve for x, we need to keep x on your left-hand side, boys and girls. So if you're keeping x on your left-hand side, the plus 10, we need to remove 10. To remove 10, we need to add a negative 10. So we add a negative 10 on this side, it will be 0. So we're only left with x, and we add a negative 10 on that side. So if we're looking at something like this, we are saying x plus 10 is equal to 12. If we need to get rid of the 10, so it will be x plus 10 minus 10 is equal to 12 minus 10. Now in an equation, if you're introducing a new value on one side to balance it, we have to introduce it on that side. So there's minus 10 on both sides. So here 10 minus 10 is 0. So we're only left with x, and x is equal to, and we've got 12 minus 10. So if you notice, boys and girls, this is very similar to this answer here. X is equal to, or the same rather, x is equal to 12 minus 10. X is equal to 12 minus 10. So instead of showing this part here that I have, we know we have to subtract 10 to get rid of 10 here, or to get a 0, because we only need x. So we need to subtract 10. Then we also subtract 10 on that side. So in the future, we will do this mentally, knowing that we have to subtract 10 and the answer will no longer exist. So it'll become x is equal to 12 minus 10, which is what we have here. And 12 minus 10 is 2. The next equation, it's the same idea. 2x minus 6 is equal to 30. We need x on this side, but the first thing we can change is the minus 6. We can remove minus 6. To remove minus 6 or negative 6, we need to add a positive 6. So if you add a positive 6, it's going to be 0 here. It's going to be 0 here, but we need to also add a positive 6 on this side. So adding a positive 6 means there's no 6 here. It's out. I'll just draw a line there. It means that's out. So it means you're only left with 2x, but we have to add a positive 6 on that side. So 2x is equal to 30 plus 6, which is 36. Now we need x. So in order to remove the 2, we need to divide by 2, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So if we're dividing by 2 here, we need to divide by 2 here as well. So x is equal to 18. 36 divided by 2 is 18. This equation here, 3x plus 1 is equal to 6x minus 11. We need to solve for x. So your positive 1, to get rid of it or remove it, so we have 3x, your positive 1, you need a negative 1. Positive 1 and negative 1 will give me 0, so put a negative 1 here. Now we also need 6x on this side. So if we add, we have 6x here, we subtract 6x, then we will be able to remove 6x. So we subtract 6x on this side. Boys and girls, you will note that it's simple. If we need to solve for x, we keep the x's on the side. So the positive x, 6x, becomes negative because you've gone onto this side. The positive 1 becomes negative because you're moving it onto that side. So you can use a simple rule of moving across the equal to sign by changing the signs. Positive 6x becomes negative 6x. Positive 1 can become negative 1. That will be one way of solving your equations. And 3 minus 6, or 3, positive 3 and negative 6 will give you negative 3x. Negative 11, negative 1 is negative 12. Now we need to remove negative 3, so we divide by negative 3. We divide the side by negative 3. So x will be equal to 4. Because dividing by negative 3 will cancel 3's. We're only left with x. X is equal to 4. Negative 12 divided by 3. Negative 3 is 3 goes into 12 4 times. And negative is positive. For this equation here, if we have a power, we simply write the number, any other number, we raise it to the same. We raise it using the same base. So this base is 3. So what number? 3 raised to what number will give you 81? That is 3 to the 4. 3 to the 4 gives you 81. When the bases are the same, we can now equate your exponents. That means 2x is equal to 4. The 2x is equal to 4. And if 2x is equal to 4, dividing by 2, x is equal to 2. And we can check if x is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So 81 is 3 to the 4. Boys and girls, we're going into geometry now. The first question was to find the complement of 42, and complement means we're working with 90-degree angles. So it'll be 90 minus 42 is 48. Right, so for complement, it will be 90 degrees minus 42. For supplement, it's 180 degrees. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 117 will give you 63. So these two values together gives you 180. These two values, 42 plus 48 gives you 90. So when we talk about complementary angles, we subtract from 90. Talk about supplementary angles, we subtract from 180. Now, question 5.3, there's a diagram here. Angle A is 102 degrees because it is vertically opposite. So notice there's angle A and there's 102 degrees. That's vertically opposite. You must give a reason for your answer. The next one, boys and girls, just for you to remember that when we're working with geometry, we're going to work with the following. We're going to work with F shape when you're working with parallel lines. We're going to work with U shape. We're going to work with N or Z. And then we have an X. And sometimes we have your straight line. So remember, the U is the angles add up to 180 degrees. But in case of F, which is corresponding, and N, which is alternate, and X, you're vertically opposite, they're all equal angles. So we're looking at this, we had your X, which is vertically opposite, this one. Then if you're looking at solving for B, there's B here. B also has an X. There's B. There's an X. So we look at the X. This is 41. And this is your angle B. They're vertically opposite. There's also equal angles. B is equal to 41, vertically opposite. Now we're looking at angle C. Angle C is here. There's no value for the angle opposite it, but we have a value for angle A. So you can work with angle A. So if this is 41 and that is angle A is 102, then angle C will be 180 minus the 41 and minus the 102. So angle A is 180, angle C will be 180 degrees minus 102 minus 41 degrees. Okay, boys and girls, we're now looking at question 6. Look at the diagram for question 6. We have parallel lines here. With parallel lines, we need to work with F, U, N, X, and then we may have a straight line. Now in this, we know your F again is corresponding, U is co-interior, adds up to 180. N or Z, that's your alternate, X is vertically opposite, and then you can have a straight line, which is 180. So the only two times you'll be calculating is when we have a U shape, because we're going to subtract from 180, and we have a straight line. At all other occasions, you find that the angles will then be marked equal. We can write them down as being equal. So we look at 58 degrees and M, they form an X, which means angle M is equal to 58 degrees, and your reason is vertically opposite. There's your X, vertically opposite. Now, once you have M to be 58, now we're looking at, it is good to actually write the values down when you have worked them out. So M is 58. Then we're looking at N. Now your N value, you can have one of two answers. N is the same value as M because you're forming a Z. There's a Z here. There's your Z, follow. Right, there's your Z. So you can have a Z formed here. And Z means that if M is 58, then N as well will be 58. The other reason why N could be 58 is because we have an F. So I'm going to show you an F in a different color. So we have an F here as well. So if you don't want to use the Z, you can always work with F. There's an F, and this is 58. So N will be 58. That's an F. So N is equal to 58 degrees. One, it could be alternate because we had the red, the Z. And the other one, it could be corresponding because we have an F. So remember, F is corresponding. So we have 58. Okay, let me write 58 down here. If N is 58, then we're looking at the value of P. Now, P can also have one of two answers. One would be P is the same value as N, which is because we have a vertically opposite angles. Because we have vertically opposite angles, so I'll take out this. There's an X here, so P is the same value, that can be 58. So P is 58, vertically opposite. But then you can also see that we have an F. There's an F here. And we have an F, which means angle P is also 58 because it's an F. So there's one of two answers. P is 58, but one of two reasons, sorry. P is 58, there's one answer, but one of two reasons. One, it could have been vertically opposite, and the other one can be corresponding. Now, using the same laws in terms of parallel lines, we're going to look at the next diagram. The next diagram here, we have a value for, we have X, we have a value next to X, which is 70 degrees. We have Y. So if you're looking at this, the easiest option would be that we can work with a straight line. Right, so with straight line, there's your answer. Your option is your straight line. Straight line adds up to 180 degrees. So this is one of the situations in which we use 180. 180 minus 70 gives you 110 degrees. The other reason, the other situation you will use the 180 is when we see a U. But at the moment we see a straight line. So with that, this is now a 110 degrees because we worked out to be 110 degrees here. There's the 110 degrees. Now we're looking at, sorry, just have to get used to writing using the mouse. That's your 110 degrees. Now we need to find y. So we can use the nearest angle to y is 70. So using 70, let's see if we can form one of the shapes that we have here. These are the shapes you're looking at on your left-hand side here. So we're going to form a shape that's 70, that's a given angle, and we need to find y. So what shape do we see? A Z. And Z means, or N. Depends on which way you look at it, is a Z or N, which is, there's a Z or N, which is alternate angles. The answer there is alternate. The next question, we're looking at the last question here. We're given parallel lines again. There's only one shape in which all these values are found under. Look at it carefully. There's the one shape, and the shape is a U. And U means co-interior. So we know your reason is going to be co-interior. So you can write the reason down, even if you are unsure on how to work this problem out. The next thing we know is with co-interior, the angles are not equal, they add up to 180. So somewhere in your working, you need to indicate that it is going to add up to 180 degrees. So we're saying that 2x minus 20 plus x minus 10 is going to give you 180 degrees. Now we simply solve an equation. 2x plus x is 3x. There's your like terms. That gives you 3x minus 20 minus 10 or negative 10 gives you minus 30. Negative 20, negative 10, negative 30. We need to solve for x, so we need to change negative 30 to positive, comes onto this side. That's positive 30. So 3x is equal to 180 plus 30, which means 3x is 210. To solve for x, we need to divide by 3. So we get x. So we divide by 3, we get 70. And we can do a check. 70 times 2 is 140. 140 minus 20 is 120. So we can simply just write this here. If you substitute, we're going to end up with a 120 there. And if you substitute for 70, yes, 70 minus 10 is 160. Sorry, 60. 70 minus 10 is 60. So we've got 60 here and we have 120 here. Just going to write the 120 a little clearer. 120 here. So 120 and 60 gives me my 180. So I know my answers are correct. Boys and girls, good luck in studying tomorrow for your paper. Right. Have a lovely afternoon.